welcome to this webinar on the evolving landscape of people, processes, and technology in emerging businesses, brought to you by TeamLease. I'm Anisha Nayar, Dhawan, the moderator for this session. Now, we have been into the COVID-19 pandemic for more than 2 years now, and the world just wants, now the world over, we are seeing that societies and businesses are getting back to normalcy, perhaps in fits and bouts because of the different COVID waves and the variants that we continue to see. No wonder the focus is back on growth, expansion, innovation, and profitability. Today, we are focusing on the current trends and sentiments across different emerging sectors like EV and EV infrastructure with PLI to encourage domestic production, development of new manufacturing hubs, improved infrastructure for charging stations, and a boost for localized ACC battery storage. Now, there are other sectors like agriculture and agrochemicals that are seeing increased demand for agricultural inputs and allied services accompanied with PMKSY. Construction and real estate is also buzzing with the government's focus on affordable housing. In fact, demand for commercial office spaces is steadily growing back again. Despite the input cost pressures, automobile and auto ancillary sector is also seeing increased demand from private vehicles because the habit of avoiding public transport, which started during the pandemic, is still sticking. Now, thanks to online shopping and the booming logistics and e-commerce sector, they are feeding the demand for commercial vehicles as well. So all this indicates that there is definite need for increased manpower in these sectors over the next few months or so to address the demand-supply gap, which is now coming up because of the increased government spending, along with the budget and consumption-friendly budget that was introduced earlier this year. Now, through this webinar, TeamLease aims to have an insightful discussion with experts and industry leaders to decode the composition of people, processes, and technology, and redefine talent strategies to stay relevant. So please welcome our esteemed speakers who are joining me today to talk about the hiring trends, the HR trends that we are seeing in this new normal world that we are living in. Please welcome Dr. K.S. Bhoon, Director and Head HR, RTC Concrete. Please also welcome Mr. Sumit Bhattacharya, CHRO, SPML Infrastructure, Mr. Sudip Das, Lead for HR and R&D Center and Lead Talent Management at Aarti Industry. A warm welcome to all of you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
for having you. Looking for a great conversation.
Yeah, before we start the conversation, a quick introduction of all our speakers today. Dr. K.S. Bhoon has served the nation and completed 3 decades in the defense sector and he retired as a brigadier. He comes with over 2 decades of corporate experience. Earlier, he was the director of Ashok Leyland Management Development Center at Hosur in 2002. In 2008, he left Ashok Leyland and joined ACC Concrete as Chief People Officer. We have Mr. Sumit Bhattacharya, who comes with more than 2 decades of hands-on experience in core HR and administrative activities, with reputed manufacturing, consumer durables, retail, education, NPFC, financial services, IT, ITES companies. Now, before joining SPML, he has worked at Propeller Innovations, Marble Box, SREI, Microsec Capital, Khadim India, and International Institute of Information Technology. Please also welcome Mr. Sudip Das. He's a talent specialist with 15 years of diversified leadership experience, both in hyper-growth and mature top 200 profit-making complex Indian businesses across financial services, manufacturing, power transmission, and insurance sectors. And before joining Aarti Industries, he has worked with Edelweiss Financial Services, SBI General Insurance, RPG Group, and Axis Bank, as well as Volters. So warm welcome to all of you. Thank you all for joining us. Now, in the last 2 years, we have experienced great changes. And we have also seen that companies have, whether like it or not, or maybe it's too extreme to say it, but they developed a heart. They've realized that the importance of physical, mental, financial, and social health of the employee is very important to retain them and make them work productively. So now companies perhaps feel that, this can't be a one-off. This can't be something that we do at the time of a pandemic or when you're faced with a health crisis. Companies perhaps are looking at integrating these aspects in work itself rather than having separate programs. So I want to start with all of you. Dr. Bhoon, let's start with you. I want to understand what your company is doing. Are you looking at these elements as processes within your organization that you continue to retain even in normal times going ahead as separate processes? Are you looking to integrate them with work itself?
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Nisha. I think firstly, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
At the outset, RDC Concrete is a great place to work certified, which actually happened during COVID, that is last year. So we had a survey, we went through it, and it is not just an outcome of something, nothing happened. So we had to put in a great deal of work before COVID, during COVID, and of course, that's the end result. So ultimately, results matter. How do we do it? Okay, we had started integrating the three, that is the technology, processes, people. I'll start, actually it starts with people. What people you have, then of course you have processes, technology, which by a system you can what we exactly did, because this question, I think I'll probably limit myself to this. Firstly, I am an industrial engineer. Industrial engineering is about people and processes. So we started putting into technology on top of it, right? Probably 4 or 5 years back. We are totally not a technology company at all. Today, we claim to be the most advanced, digitized ready-mix company. Ready-mix is a very old-fashioned business, but we did it. Now, our inbound logistics is handled by one IT vendor. Our production system is handled by another IT vendor. And our outbound logistics is handled by another IT vendor. All three have been integrated. Now, during COVID, what exactly happened was that we could not operate our plant because of, even when they were permitted, because people are not allowed to go or they were allowed to distancing and all, what we did. There are 2 or 3 transformational initiatives which we took to integrate the three. One, we tried out what is called remote production with a camera, with the somebody there, probably one guy who can guide, or if there is a problem, he intervenes this thing. So we were able to run our part remotely. This was the first. Second one, I think in 20, this lockdown was declared in the month of March 20. By May 20, we had a setup like this. We had emergency response team in each of the places where we are working. We have something like 10 or 15 locations in the country, 11 actually, too, right? Big cities like Hyderabad, Chennai, Bombay, Delhi, Chandigarh, and all these places we are there. So we established a set of ERT with cars equipped with people, so we took care of people. Now these ERTs were connected through a network. Each employee could probably see where their car with equipped is, and he could order it. That's point one. Sometimes in May, we tied up with Apollo Hospital. We are a very small company. Whatever their code at that time, we wanted online help for all our people. And of course, if there is a medical admission required hospital, then also they will help. So we tied up with Apollo. They had just launched their home care system. We were probably one of the first. And luckily, they gave me a very good quote. All our employees anywhere, they could just call up the Apollo home care, and doctor will come within 1 hour. This is something. Within 1 hour, the moment there is a problem, whether a cough or something like that, within 1 hour it was attended to. Now, this is on the people side, looking after them, taking care of them. And of course, there was a whole system of a structure which was completely taking care of the people only at that point of time. There was no work was going on, plant was shut. When the plant came into being, now the paper was not allowed to be handled. So what we did is we completely digitized everything. All documents will flow only digitally. People's claims, everything. So during the lockdown period, we actually started working. So by the time the lockdown opened, we had already digitized quite a bit. The only problem which we found in this whole process was that some of my vendors and some of my customers, they were not ready. For example, I'll give you the example of L&T. That is Larsen & Toubro, such a big company. Unfortunately, they said we still need a hard copy. So there we still had to print. Why they need a hard copy? Because they do not have that kind of systems. So they want a guy, somebody has to stamp it, somebody has to sign it, then only they'll clear my invoice. So these are the issues which we normally face. But ultimately, we came out today, we are growing something like 58%. It's all because we have been able to integrate people with processes and technology, most modern processes. Thank you.
I will ask Sudip to give us his point of view. Sudip, we've heard Mr. Bhoon on how, technology has really helped them. But he did mention that, he has 3 vendors who do everything for him. But a big company who they supply to still wants the hard copy, still wants the old system. So are we getting there where everyone is on the same page? And when it comes to your own company's employees, you have made, some processes, you have automated things, you have made your employees' life easier and streamlined. Is this something that is going to stay? Can this be integrated with work itself? Can it be automated to an extent that, nobody has to make the effort to, file a bill, or, you want to comply with the rules, but you do find a way out. Can this happen?
Absolutely. Thanks, Anisha. And this is a wonderful, and I will say it is an extremely hot topic today, that how COVID has changed our life and whether we are going to stay with that or we are going to run away from it, etc. So I think this has been actually the great journey for the whole human race, and the organization actually relooked, and the key aspects what you highlighted and Mr. Bhoon also had talked about, the people, process, and technology. And there also comes the other elements of not only the physical health, but is also the mental health, mental well-being, and emotional well-being. And whether these are the disjointed set, or we talked about work-life balance, or are we talking about work-life integration? So coming to the point, mainly when we looked at these processes, systems, or the people, we looked at 3-4 key dimensions. First dimension is productivity. Whether by modifying any process or system or even the workforce, my productivity is going to increase or remain same, or what is going to happen. So that was the first dimension. Second dimension was what was the employee experience. So for few cases, what we found is that maybe if I completely digitize this process, the employee experience may probably get hampered. So we took a balanced call in those areas. Third aspect was cost. What was the implication on cost? Whether the cost is going up, probably digitizing few systems or digitizing even the workplace is going to help us in the cost element, or may not. So that was the third. And fourth and very important aspect is the culture, that whether we are having a one organization culture or we are going to have mushrooming culture across, whether the collaboration and the other aspect is getting addressed or not, whether the teamwork is, because in an organization you work as a team, and whether the teamwork is going to have properly work or not. The other dimension is also about the workplace, that how is the workplace, because we are a manufacturing organization. So many places we actually, the machines are going to run 24/7. So workplace also has its own requirement and dimensions. Now with that workplace, we also looked at the workforce and all the roles that, in the spectrum of fully remote to fully on-prem. That's the spectrum where my roles are placed, and whichever role probably I can give a kind of hybrid kind of workplace, and where probably we need to have the people on-prem. But people, when we are looking at on-prem, whether we can touch base the elements of flexibility, whether we can give them the choice of, how they want to operate, given all those 4 dimensions of productivity, employee experience, cost, and culture. So when we looked at all of this, the main key takeaway from that, what we did during the COVID time, and we are happy to say that we are going to continue those good practices, is most of our meetings, or probably the decision-making meetings, or maybe work-related meeting, today at this point of time, 80 to 85% all the meetings are actually digital. It is not that we need to be in the same place. A lot of corporate level roles are still working either from home, or it could be a hybrid kind of work, engagement or work arrangement what we have. Then all our HR processes we have digitized, starting from the recruitment, onboarding, your payroll, attendance, all those processes are completely now digitized. So those actually brought more efficiency. We have more data, we can do more analytics, and we can have more data-driven decision making through this. And in fact, the other processes like your finance processes, the reimbursement, the procurement, this processor also now we have proper process documented SOPs and also are digitized. So I think these are the things we could achieve. And also I can talk later about the, the dimension of mental well-being and emotional well-being, how we work in those dimensions, because we also took, good amount of effort and we got a lot of success in those areas as well. And I see that those initiatives or all the good things which has brought by COVID-19, we are going to continue with that, and that is actually helping us in the organization.
All right. Mr. Bhattacharya, come to you. We've heard the perspective from Dr. Bhoon and Sudip. Now, Sudip has spoken about mental well-being, about investing in your employees. And also, like Dr. Bhoon pointed out, technology plays a very important factor. But everybody is not on the same level. What we want to understand is, especially for emerging sectors like EVs or auto ancillaries, while they are emerging and they are seeing great activity, they're still seen as bricks and mortars kind of businesses. So here, how do we motivate our employees? How do we get the best talent, and how do we train them and be ready for all kinds of circumstances? Like Dr. Bhoon pointed out, no production happened, but they kept their employees, they kept working, they kept thinking of new ways of doing things. What would you like to say here?
So first of all, now am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
So the point is what they have said correctly. So the point is, it's COVID pandemic or not, it is imperative to have technology and people process and its integration. So COVID has rather given all the companies an opportunity to integrate all these. So we accordingly also, being an EPC company, COVID has given us the opportunity to automate all the processes, not only HR process we have complete entirely, as Sudip said, right? We have also completely automated. For engineering, that is, we do have Range, which is a planning tool which is automated. We have MSP, we have Primavera. Most of the things are digitized. But one thing, irrespective of COVID, irrespective of technology, human nature, human being, and the legacy, which you cannot avoid. And therefore, this, irrespective of having technologies, we may have to do something which can help the people. So what we have seen during this, because by virtue of my career, I used to travel across the world. So I have seen earlier as well, now as well. Nothing has changed actually, except the speed and technology. So upskilling, employee value proposition, and total reward. So what we did basically, we have implemented total reward system, because nowadays when the market is opening up, it's hard to get person. So as a result, what are the process to be outsourced? We have outsourced the process. Still, some processes are in process of getting outsourced. So what we did, upskilling, and also we actually given the opportunity to employ. First upskilling was how to communicate virtually. That was important at that time, and which is still going on. So since I am also teaching in different universities abroad as my passion, so I also help that. And main point which I felt, rather, the total reward system matters a lot, which is combination of transactional reward and relational reward. Transactional reward everybody is getting, which can be easily monetized, but relational reward cannot be easily monetized, like training and development opportunities, succession planning, career movement, work-life balance. So these are imperative to have people on board to retain the people, because I have seen in absence of relational reward, people are leaving. So money doesn't matter at all. Money matters up to a certain level, but unless we implement the culture which Sudip has mentioned, Mr. Bhoon has mentioned, so which we have also implemented I have implemented in 3-4 companies, how to cascade the reporting to the down the line and take the reporting, because this will give us a paradigm shift from a reactive approach to proactive approach. First. Second, the total reward, that gives us the huge motivation to an employee, that I am also getting relational reward. It's not about money, it's where no money is involved, like training and development opportunities. We are not including this in the cost. of the company, cost to company, but it has a huge impact. We have implemented employee engagement activities, even virtual or physical. But these are the leverages where employee can be retained, to my view, for last 25 years, what I have seen. So this is what I wanted to say.
Okay. Sudip, why is it so important to retain employees? Recently, Infosys came out with their earnings and they had a 27% attrition rate. Now, IT companies and attrition is different. It's legit, their churn rate is very high. But, I'm trying to understand, like Mr. Bhattacharya mentioned, that whatever process they could outsource, they're doing it so that there's greater efficiency. So how do you approach processes within the company? Because they're important for operational efficiency. During COVID, we have streamlined many processes, taken them on the cloud. You can access some of these processes anywhere because you are working in a hybrid work situation. You don't know when you'll be asked to work from home, given the the pandemic situation. So companies have also adopted models of employing contract workers, gig workers. So how do you view this trend when it comes to processes? And how do we bring in efficiency? Because say you keep a contract worker, your security is very important for you. You have to have entirely different security process for these kind of people. How do you access company data and company assets? So processes are important. How are you streamlining them for greater efficiency? And can this be improved in the years to come?
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that, and at Aarti, we actually believe that the people, as you asked, that why it is important to retain people, because as a manufacturing organization, large part of our workforce actually need to be on the premise. And although we looked at few intelligent solutions of remote working for this kind of workplace as well, but I think that is still a journey we are yet to reach to kind of get a great solution. Although a lot of our processes are also automated and there are various steps are actually getting done by the machines, but there are various initiatives like department like R&D where the scientists need to see the experiments. Although we have realized, and when you analyze that length of the experiment, which a lot of times is like as long as 36 to 40 hours, there is a phase which is a maintaining kind of phase. So those kind of steps probably we can look for a remote solution or remote controlling kind of solution. Now, the workforce is very important because one, your engagement of the overall population. There is a very, very important aspect is whether you have a good friend at workplace or not, whether there is somebody with whom you can have a conversation. I was talking about the mental health. Now, the solutions, which are the solutions which we found most effective is believe in your own ecosystem, equipping your managers to have a ability to have a conversation to help somebody who is probably experiencing a certain amount of anxiety or concerns. So whether we have that ability, whether we have the right kind of platforms where people are free to talk about and don't feel kind of stigma or anything. Second is that whether the leaders are talking about this. So we encourage leaders to talk about it because whatever they speak, people find a lot of authenticity. People believe that those are the important aspects. So when you talk about that, your mental health is very, very important. Taking a holiday is very, very important. Delegating your work, is very important. And lot of things are actually myth. These are not facts. Those aspects are very, very. I think Anisha, if you are telling me something.
So if I'm asking is this part of a process or is this a one-off? What you're talking about is very important, but does this become work? Is this part of a process that is there without effort for everybody and it works for everyone?
So we have a process called IAM, and what we do in this that in every quarter we meet for 2 days and we invest time in learning active listening or powerful listening. How can I listen without any preconceived notion? And this is a very, very powerful exercise which we practice, and at workplace also we practice the same. Similarly, it's also part of it is powerful. I'm able to talk about my concern, my suggestions, very, very powerful way. And it is a part of actually of our culture and process. Each and every team actually invests 2 days every quarter on inculcating these abilities and culture, because it doesn't come naturally. Second, we also invest in equipping the managers to have this kind of conversation, and equipping the leaders also having this kind of conversation and helping them with that. Although we have also external consultants to help people in case they experience something, a huge amount of stress or anxiety and etc. But we feel that probably the internal ecosystem is much, much, much more powerful. So that is our system process to address it. And that's why people are very important. Now we train people, we create the ecosystem. If people leave, then the ecosystem I need to build from the scratch. Yeah. That's why people is so important along with the process.
Definitely. Dr. Bhoon, the way you described how your company worked during the time of the pandemic, I'm assuming a lot of things are automated in your company. You are also using perhaps virtual reality, augmented reality in some of your operations as well. Now, how can you streamline such processes where the employee has a comfort? Because Mr. Bhattacharya mentioned a few things like legacy. The legacy could come from people as well. Some people are resistant to change. Younger group may take on new processes or new way to work more readily. Sometimes the older generation, they themselves are a legacy. Or you may have a process which is a legacy. You may not have, or you said your vendor had. How do you get over these issues, and how do you streamline your processes so that nobody feels left out? That, oh, you're doing AR and you understand, but I don't understand. Actually, I don't use it in my functioning, so I don't need it. But down the line, you also need to understand because you're working with somebody who's using this process. So how do you get these blocks out? Is legacy an important hurdle?
Anisha, I think before I come to the process and enablement and other issues you have mentioned, we do have a lot of automation, but the human element is totally you cannot be avoided purely through automated processes. So currently, since the COVID setting, we have firstly we embed everything into the culture, whether it is a process or it is technology or it is simple soft skill we embed into the culture. Right now, what we are embedding to the culture is what you call is emotional connect. Emotional connect with the detached curiosity. This is the current lesson. And I'll tell you how we spread out this lesson. Emotional connect. We do find, I am a mentor to almost all of the businesses. We have 11 business heads, so I am a mentor. So I am finding one business head where there is an issue. I'm saying you need to have an emotional connect. He says, how do I emotionally connect? I said, every week you make sure you have 78, a business head will have about 70 to 90 people under him overall on roll. There'll be another 50, 60 probably off roll kind of thing. It's not a big number. I said, right down to the families you need to know. But with a detached curiosity means you don't start, you will in the process, you will come to know certain sensitive information. It is not supposed to be shared with others. You need to be detached to the whole thing. You don't have to go out of your way within the system. You connect with people. We'll come to know how you connect with people. We have some survey system of getting feedback, 360, all that we employ. In fact, one of our manager has featured in Forbes magazine as one of the 100 manager. One of the institutions had done this, Great Manager Institute. They have done this exercise. So this is all the outcome. Now I'll start with I think your whole emphasis was a process. What is your process? We hold something called Disha workshop. We do it annually, but because of COVID, we have done twice now. Because this thing, what is Disha workshop? Me and the CEO, two of us, we travel across the country to 10 different locations because there is a concentration of people. Whole day from morning till evening, we make sure that day 100% may not be possible, but at least our target is 97% people, they are there. It starts in the morning. And we have started doing it in all 5-star hotels. Although our people, some of them are probably never seen a 5-star hotel. But good thing is that the outcome is we're making a lot of money. To very frank. I mean, then spend money because people are connected. So once they're connected, they do it, then you get the money. So this year we have done in all the 5-star hotels. Yesterday we were in Pune, in Hyatt, and I'm going day after to Bhubaneswar. Like that, I'm just giving an example. But I want to close with one process which we have. It's called Disha. What is Disha? Disha starts with the CEO telling, this is what we have done. This is where we want to go next. He finishes. I come in. What is the vision of the company? Actually, and behind my screen, you can see the vision. This is translated by the guys into the regional language. If it's a Bengali, it's translated in Bengali. If it's Tamil, it's translated in Tamil. We reward the best translation, mainly to embed this vision into them. Vision is that we need to be excellent in everything, and that is through customer delight or whatever. After that comes the what is called as success stories. Now, success stories does not mean that it has to be always a success story. It could be a failure with learning. So the team come up, the best team is rewarded. The best part in this is this year was emotional connect. We made 6 videos, homemade videos by different teams. We told them very nice video, 3 minutes video. We show them. The guy is feeling, he's coughing. He calls up his manager, sir, I cannot continue. What do I do? He says, hold on. Yeah, he puts in the WhatsApp message. Somebody saying, I'll come. Oh, although I've just finished my duty, I'll come again. 3 minutes. So like these emotional connect videos of a different kind. Sometimes a girl say, okay, I want to have pizza, this thing. The father says, why do you want to have pizza? You know, so many things. Why can't we donate this money? This is basically all videos talk of empathy, emotional connect. So this, everybody will be covered. We have already covered 50% now, 50% balance will be covered. Now, apart from this, number is not very large. My number is displayed in each plant. I have 62 plants, 62. They are small plant, but 62 all across the country. My number is displayed in each of the plants. This is public. The guy can send me, if his problem is not solved, he sends me a WhatsApp message. And within 1 hour, within 2 hours, if he needs money, he'll get the money. If he needs the hospital, we'll try and get him the hospital. It has happened. If he is not having remdesivir will be procured. This is how you become the great place to work. So there are some more processes which are probably online. I don't want to go into the detail, but emotional connect is our current theme and it is working. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Bhattacharya, both Sudip and Dr. Bhoon have highlighted to us that no matter what your process, you need to have a heart for your own people, for anything to work. But you had mentioned something called a legacy. What is this legacy that you're referring to? And does this come in the way of your processes becoming more efficient, or bringing in new things, or trying something which is new age and perhaps not what was done earlier?
Yeah, thank you for asking that pertinent question. It's very, so legacy here we are talking about the fresh blood versus old blood. So accepting the system, accepting the process, accepting the technologies, because old blood may not be so conversant with the technologies currently. So there would be a resistance. In fact, while doing any process, while implementing any process, there could be a resistance. So what is technology? Basically, technology is a tool, is a process to connect the people. So it's more about the people connection. So what I felt, what I am using, what Mr. Bhoon has said, yes, emotional connect is very important, but how? So whatever technologies we are having, this legacy and other factors will be doing. So therefore, this reaching to each and every employee, understanding their problem is a point of concern, and therefore technology could be there. We have adopted from the technologies few things from our talent management team, like EWS, which is called early warning system, because we have anticipated that market is opening up, so people may leave, especially fresh blood versus old blood. When there is a conflict, people may leave, especially the fresh bloods. So what we implemented EWS, I'm not going into detail, early warning system. We have implemented ring fencing activities. We have implemented employee engagement satisfaction survey through third party, because internally it's not possible. The most important output we have received by implementing psychometric tool to understand the training need and the pulse. Since I'm a specialist for psychometric tool invention, so we have implemented, and ultimately it's come around that people may leave not because of the salary, again the relational reward, as well as the culture, as well as This is the conflicting situation between fresh and old blood. So it is our, as a change agent, it is our responsibility to make them accustomed with the job organizational goal. So one-on-one connect where virtual world may not help. Virtual world may not help, where meeting one-on-one is important, where personal interaction, maybe on phone, maybe physical meeting is more important. And we are getting huge success on that by implementing this. Tool technology will be there, will be developed. Tomorrow AI will take place, many things, but human touch will not be, we cannot ignore that. That's the important point, what I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Bhattacharya has actually told us some very interesting things, total rewards, about empathy and how to get systems in so that the physical touch is never lost. Dr. Bhoon, would you like to tell us about any place in the HR function where you're bringing in a new technology or a new feature or a new process? Do you see any gaps in your HR life cycle in your company that you feel that we can plug with bringing in that new technology and make it more efficient?
Before I answer that, I just want to say a line on what I think totally agree with Mr. Bhattacharya. Firstly, my company is fairly young. 90% people are below the age of 30. But I have some people. So I have a, you can call it, we call him an associate, but he's earlier used to be called a peon. We have changed it to office assistant. This guy is 8th class pass. But in the last 2 years, he is capable of putting up everything, what is called a document management system, putting up his own claim, making his claim online, everything online, applying for leave, everything online. So I think this, I do agree that legacy is an issue, but legacy can be addressed. It is not that difficult. Technology is becoming fairly, I should say, friendly to that extent, but effort is needed. Okay, now coming to the people processes, firstly, again, we are fairly almost digitized most of the processes. Attendance, we earlier used to have finger one, now we have made the face one. So it is all automated completely. My PMS is automated.
Anything, it could be productivity, learning management, anything.
Okay, so the new thing which we added, the new thing, 2 things I have added new, which one will be fairly new for some audience. One is the old stuff, but for me it is new. That is Diksha portal, which you call e-learning. Fortunately, I was working on it just before COVID. We didn't have e-learning online portal. We had already done, and this COVID actually turned out to be a threat, which we turned into an opportunity. We trained a large number of people through this e-learning platform where people came and interacted, of course, virtually. And I think we saw the highest level of course completion rates. We at home they were doing, there were tests going on. So the capability building happened because we already had the technology. But then the e-learning is not something. There's something new which has started. This is called Margdarshan. Margdarshan is a name for mentoring. So this is what I think is, mentoring is a very broad term, but mentor actually is not like a coach. Coach actually gets you to do. Mentoring is more telling the way, I should say, go about it, how to go about it, or finding the way out. So this is that we have identified some people who are capable of mentoring others. Then we have also put a large number of people with them as mentors. This process is now almost getting automated, whereby through an automated process, we'll be able to mentor people. So otherwise, you say it, whether it is onboarding, whether it is the separation, whether it's payroll, everything is automated. Right now, if I have to automate further, I have to, as somebody said, okay, that employee experience. So some of the things which you are giving, employee experiences are slightly, they want better and better. No, there's always this thing. I want to close with one thing, which again, supporting, I think he's done a lot of research at this thing. He's absolutely right. Without this, people will not stay for salary. You will have to do this. He's absolutely right. Legacy has to be handled. And he's absolutely right. I think the last one is most important. While my head office, which is about 45 people, actually can work from home, but we have made it compulsory that they will also come physically, because manufacturing people, it's an empathy or whatever you call it, because they have to come physically to the plant. So we have told our people, I'm right now sitting in my office, that you have to work from the office. And people have accepted it. And this physical interaction, which he said, I think think I feel I am from that school of thought. I'm a little older also. Unless few things don't work that much on technology or through remote. Remote hai. We are now having our, we used to have monthly meeting of our top team physically here in Bombay. It is now happening online. Many things are happening online. But even that we have started, okay, one alternate one will happen here. I think while technology is there, technology helps, it speeds up, improves efficiency, physical interaction is still needed.
All right. Sudip, all right. Sudip, how do you find a balance? Because all of you have told us that technology processes, they're all important, but they will fail if we don't have the right people. The people are motivated. I'll just take a short break and tell our audience that if you have any questions to all that has been discussed by our speakers today, please put it in the Q&A box. Please identify yourself from which company you are and go ahead and ask a question. So Sudip, all of you have reiterated that people are very important, but we've learned new things, total rewards. We've heard of Diksha online portal. So I'm trying to understand from you, Sudip, how do you balance all of this, people, process, technology? And what are the areas where you feel there is a scope of improvement in your company? What are you excited about bringing into your company so that all of these people, process, technology align well?
Absolutely. Thanks, Anisha. And I think both Sumit and Mr. Bhoon actually brought very interesting and exciting points to talk about. And I completely aligned with the thoughts what they are bringing, that processes can be, we can have excellent processes, we digitize, automate everything. But real success actually comes when you have the right kind of people and right kind of culture. Now, we also realized the same, and we felt that although you may have excellent processes, you digitize that, but where actually the bottleneck comes? And actually the bottleneck comes in people relations or in the working relation. And there are a few things I will highlight there. First thing it comes that fear, whether you feel absolutely safe at your workplace, whether you fearlessly can express your views and fearlessly you take decisions and execute them and you take risks at workplace. Yeah. And innovation actually comes through all of these characteristics. Otherwise it doesn't. And richness of idea also comes when there is no fear. Second dimension is also we all of us carry a very low self-image or esteem. So how can I address that LSI? That is the second element which comes. Third element, I will say that these two things actually, result in a lot of unworkability, because you may have excellent processes system, but finally those are run by the people. And there is at workplace, there are lots of unworkability are there. It could be unworkability between a person and the boss. It could be unworkability between two colleagues. It could be unworkability between teams, within teams, etc., etc. So we actually work on these dimensions of identifying, bravely or without any kind of fear, identify what are the unworkability are there. Because, and we take off that I was mentioning that I am workshop where we do this 2-day time off from our work. We try to identify what are the unworkability are there in the system, what all fears we have. An individual level, we all have fear. There is nobody who doesn't have any kind of fear. So let's identify and we bring that one in front of all of us, and so that this can be also addressed. So that is one of the dimension where we are working on, that identifying unworkability, identifying fear, identifying where all the hierarchy is coming into place and it is not working. Now, what all are we are doing? One, I spoke about the IAM workshop. Then we also build an idea board where people can go and express their ideas. We also have various virtual and physical communication series we are running, being the communication series and two-way communication series there where you can, like you are having a coffee and having the conversation. Then we also have made a shadow board where we are giving the young people a chance to kind of solve or give ideas what the board is actually trying to solve, or at the division level that divisions are trying to solve that one. And the last dimension where we are working on also is a hybrid kind of processes. So currently our talent management process, a lot of process we run actually, which is not it's probably that we are taking a lot of feedback or the assessment and etc., which is actually is a offline or a digitized process. But we also took help of data, data driven potential assessment we did, because we have a large amount of data. We could backtest that who all are actually successful, which kind of characteristics, which kind of trait, which kind of competencies, or which kind of probably educational background makes a success profile at our industry. And then we kind of did a data analytics and we identified the high potential people, but then we validate that one. The process which is, so we are now making the processes which are kind of hybrid. It is not only all the other practices is hybrid, even the processes we are also making hybrid, where we get input from machines or probably data analytics, which can help us to take better decision. And that's what I see is the future is.
All right. So even using data to crunch it and get more insights to keep employees motivated and more productive is really very insightful. Mr. Bhattacharya, let me come to you. We've heard of a lot of new ideas today. You yourself said total rewards. So we were talking about IM days, plus also using greater data for getting out more information about employees and keeping them motivated. Dr. Bhoon spoke about the online portal for learning and development. How do you see people process technology evolving from here on? And what are the things you're excited about bringing into your organization? And do you think this becomes a smooth flowing process in the years ahead?
So first of all, nothing is smooth. You have to give manual effort. Otherwise, even the technology is there, employee engagement cannot be carried on fully. If technology can only facilitate, but actual employee engagement to me starts with job description and after that KRA KPI. Another side of employee engagement, which we often been fallen trap, that is fun at work, picnic, celebration. But these are the secondary part of employee engagement. Unless people are engaged, people will leave.
So how do you motivate them? How do you motivate them?
Let me come to you. Let me come to you. So my point of view is that irrespective of what the technology is there, so motivation is required by recognizing each and every people at the bottom of the line. So technology can be a facilitator. It cannot, but technology has the adverse effect. Let me tell you one example. Automated birthday mail, automated anniversary mail. It's definitely through them employees' life that I am getting a mail. After a particular time, you will understand this is an automated mail. And let me tell you the adverse effect. This automated mail will not understand what happened the last day before his birthday in his family. I face this issue. Automated mail has gone happy birthday. On the last one day back, he lost his mother. So it has an adverse effect. We are not aware at the remote place, but email has gone with a copy to others. So see how the adverse impact of technology. So therefore, unless we are holding hand to each other, so that is the primary key for motivation. Unless we are recognizing the down the line, not see, all HODs would tend to take the credit, but they are not giving the credit to the down the line. This is the common practice. Whatever I can say, big jargons or other things, but ultimately how HR as a change agent can reach to understand the down the line performance and recognize them in front of all. So that could impact a better, healthy organization. That I am also being recognized. That is the foremost important part to reduce attrition. There is a question on that as well. So that is the most important. And upskilling. Upskilling does not mean the training through, yes, LMS is a part where automatic reward, I mean, certificate and other things can be generated. But to me, upskilling, if we need to have in this era, upskilling or training, it has to be a peer group learning, so that learning can be a chain system. So the moment I have introduced a peer group learning, when people are learning and they are giving presentation to each other what they have learned, and every other one has the right to ask any question. So that would create an impact. Everybody, that actually my point of saying is to create the value that everybody has a value. No one is no one is I mean isolated. That would create huge impact. And these are the relational reward out of total reward I was saying about from the very beginning. So that's the thing.
Right. Okay. We have little time with us, and some questions have come in, so we'll quickly try to take the questions. One question is coming from Mr. Ashish Kumar. He's asking, what are the challenges HR departments face when jump-starting digital transformation? Sudip, briefly, could you tell us what are the challenges that can come?
Yeah. So challenges you are asking when we go for the digital transformation? Yeah. So I think the 2-3 challenges which normally we face. One is the changeover itself is a first challenge, that how we train people, how we make people know about that new process, where to go, and etc. That handholding, and also that some of the steps you need to take. So that's, I think, the first. But I think the biggest challenge which people will be facing is in the transition. A lot of processes, you may find that the people element might get lost or might get missed. Like I'm saying that the engagement, when we move completely digital, that's you kind of replicating what you do in physical form and trying to replicate it. That probably when you have limitations like COVID era and etc., I think that can work. That can be a good replacement, I will call. I will not say that that's the best thing to have, but you probably obviously miss those elements of people touch. The third element, I feel, wherever there is a high data is involved and you probably need to crunch data and etc., there also technology or the virtual meetings could have a few kind of limitation. And the last element where you need real collaboration, real influencing, and those people dimension to play at work, there also I feel that when you make the processes completely digital, you may struggle with those. Maybe the unworkability will not get talked about at all. Maybe the fear element is not at all got valued. Maybe the person actually felt that I am interacting with a machine and nobody is there to talk with me. I think those are the few challenges, I think, when you go for a digital environment.
Sudip, if you permit, I would just 2 points. It's more important which I faced.
Yeah,
so
please go ahead.
To add Sudip, the digitization of HR is basically the first challenge which being faced is policy versus digitization. Sometimes policy might be changed because of the need of the, not only the software, need of the organization, policy and practice. All these things cannot be digitized. So unless policy is sacrosanct, digitization would not happen. And if you want to digitize, policy could be changed. We have to be flexible enough for that. This is first. Second challenge, that is integration with other systems. Every HR software company will tell that we have open API, so you can integrate with any other system. But believe in me, I have implemented 5 HRMS in many companies, 5 companies. So ultimately middleware impacts. You have to make the middleware. So open API could not help at all. So these are from the technology angle, about the technology as well as policy angle. These two are the resistance also. That is, I'm adding with Sudip. Thank you.
All right. We've got another question which is coming from an anonymous attendee. Dr. Bhoon, if you could take this. The question is, with high attrition all around, what should companies do differently from the traditional ways to retain employees?
Yeah, okay. I'll just add 1 or 2 sentences to what I already been said, then I'll take up this question. In my experience, people, since I have young people, I don't find much problem with people. I find problem with the process because people tend to keep registers, old registers, which you have to be very careful and you have to discard them. I find the biggest problem with the technology or technology providers. I think they are still deficient. One of the biggest issue which I come across is Pokeyo. Pokeyo is mistake proofing. They give you technology, they don't mistake proof it. When the mistakes occur, then they give instant solution at that time. Okay, from backend I'll do this, backend I'll do this. I ask them, I have a fair knowledge of technology. I have been a simulator designer at a long time back. So why you don't mistake proof it? They take a long time. So I think the competence level of technology provider, in my opinion, is going down. The reason for that is demand is huge, New guys are coming in, they are still learning. They are still learning at my cost. They charge me money. So I have a complaint against the providers of technology,
So you need
not
to
about
pick
my
well.
people, not about processes, all that I can sort. They don't understand my business, so I design my processes. I tell them you map it. They map it, but they make so many mistakes, and then this is a working. Anyway,
So you
I'll
need
close
to
that.
pick the right person as well, or the right
Yeah.
vendor as well. So
Okay.
what do you
I
do
think
about attrition, Dr. Bhoon? What do you do differently so that attrition is at bay?
no, you're talking about attrition. No, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that. I know your question. I've not forgotten that. Yeah, this is a. So you see, firstly, I have been in HR for a very long time. Attrition is a way of life. I have to accept some attrition. So I'm accepting about 13-15% in my company. It has gone up to now 18. Basically, because the talent demand in a particular segment, especially the talented people, those who know their job, they are in demand and they are being offered very high salary. So that attrition is occurring. Fortunately for me, we have designed a model which is basically a campus-based model. Every year I take, my total strength is 700. Every year I take more than 100 campus trainees. So by the time these guys at the top go away, so my pipeline is getting filled up. Attrition, why people are going away from my company? I know in my case, it is largely the salary. I keep salaries at the middle level or maybe slightly on the upper quarter, but there are people who, since we train well, we have a very good T&D system, very good development system. So people know. Mine is a very small industry. There are 5-6 companies. They all know that this RTC, the Dr. Bhoon's company has got people. They target my people. They give them double salary or something. They go away. But there's a constant battle. So one, of course, as we have already brought out, we need to have a connect with people apart from salary. And there are many people who stay with us because they know that they will get growth. Conversely, I'm also getting people from outside who want to get in for growth, not for salary. So this is going on. But the attrition, I think, how I am addressing, one, connecting and connecting. No, when I say connecting, not me, all my managers who are, let's say, I got something like 40-50 managers at that level, they all need to connect with their people.
Okay. All right.
I have a
Connection
bigger
is very
problem. I'll
important.
just close it with the new guys. So I have a biggest problem with the fresher coming in because he does not understand my culture. Although we in the meeting, in the campus interview, you tell them it's a very difficult industry, all that blah blah blah, all negative things. Some people tell me you tell too many negative things. People still come in because they need a job. So there I was finding a huge problem. So now the new thing what I've done is for every 15 trainees, we have one HR, a dedicated HR. Well, she's doing something else as well. So she calls this guy every week, asks what are your problems. So those, some problems she solves herself with the manager. Those problems which cannot be solved or something like that, they come to me, I solve it. In rare cases, the guy says, no, I don't want to stay anymore, I go away. So we are trying to address this by segmenting the people. Who are the one I need to focus? Rather than saying as a general rule, let us engage with everybody, it doesn't work. I need to identify which is my most vulnerable segment. So we have identified those segments. Some are very senior level is being handled by me. Some are handled by the CEO. Some are handled by the business head. And the trainees are handled directly by the corporate HR. They are all working, but they are all being engaged on a regular basis. So at least engagement, I agree. Engagement, physical, we call them. Incidentally, I'm calling them next month here for physical because some people want to come to Bombay, see Bombay, we'll talk to them. So getting them, talking to them all the time, providing platforms for interaction. There are interaction platforms. I don't want to go into the detail. There are plenty available.
Okay.
And that's the only way to. And we are, I think, you're making a good. We are about 18% now.
All right. Great ideas coming in from you, Dr. Bhoon. We are completely out of time. So Sudip, very quickly, if you can answer this one question that is coming from Ashish Kumar. How does the current use of AI affect diversity and equity in labor force?
Yeah, I think quickly 2 thoughts on that is that AI can bring a lot of equity among the workforce. Like we talked about few roles where we may face challenges of giving maybe flexibility or few other benefits. I think AI could actually help us to bring those kind of flexibility for those kind of role I talked about, the AI driven, the remote, working and etc. I think that can bring help in that. And the diversity aspect, if we talked about, I think we have some preconceived notions in the diversity aspect, that for few roles or few aspects, this probably is a good fit and etc. I think AI can bust all those myths. If you do AI or a data-driven analysis, you can find out that those facts actually are not true. So I think to find out what is fact and what is myth, you can use AI, and that can give you a lot of solutions.
All right. I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to join us today and sharing with us your experiences on people, process, and technology, and how these will work, intermesh, and work to the benefit of companies in the future. Thank you all for joining us, Dr. Bhoon, Mr. Sumit Bhattacharya, Mr. Sudip Das. Pleasure having you with us to understand all that is happening in some of the emerging sectors and all that is being done by companies to ensure their workforce is motivated and is skilled and wants to contribute to the success and the growth of the company. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anisha. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bhoon. Thank you, Sudip.
Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya. Thank you, Mr. Das. Thank you so much. Good learning from you. Thank you.